Hello, I'm Alan Hunter, and this is the 11 Pipers Piping entry for Bleak, Midwinter. I'm going to be reading selection from my book, Genderqueer, A Story from a Different Closet, which was published by Sunstone Press in March of 2020. It was midwinter break, the winter of 1979 and 1980. Fall semester 1979 had been that season in my life when I'd reached the stage of questioning my gender identity. Typically we tell people that gender isn't the same thing as sexual orientation. But in my case, it's a bit of an oversimplification. You see, I was femme. I was definitely more like one of the girls than I resembled other guys. It had been brought to my attention plenty of times by other people, and I'd always thought so myself. Well, back in the 1970s, the default assumption people made, and like all the cultural portrayals and stuff about male people who were feminine, was that it meant that you were gay. I did know about trans people. Back then, the word people used was transsexual. Anyway, I had read Conundrum. That was Jan Morris's autobiography about being a male to female transsexual, and I'd read other people's stories too. But all the trans people I'd read about had opted for medical transition, for reassignment surgery. And after that, they lived as heterosexual people. For me, well, my attraction was to female people, and I didn't feel like my body was wrong or foreign, and I had no idea if lesbians would accept me if I did transition. Jan Raymond had just written that book, The Transsexual Empire. I don't know if male kids these days in middle school, like if they're femme, if they look to other people to be femme, if they still get taunted with, oh, you're obviously going to be having sex with other guys, or if their classmates nowadays tell them, haha, you're going to transition and become a girl instead. But for me, neither one of those seemed like an answer. And if I wasn't gay, and I also wasn't trans, what did that make me? There was no depiction anywhere of hetero cis femme guys, except as failures, guys that none of the women would want to be with. So there was this question of heterosexual eligibility, the notion that I would not be sexy to the people I was attracted to. When I went home for Christmas break at the end of that fall semester, I brought along with me my college roommate's best friend, Eddie, who had sort of become my confidant while I tried to sort this mess out in my head. In Los Alamos, over Christmas break, Eddie and I soon fell into the habit of stepping out of the house and smoking a bowl after supper. And I started using that time to think out loud, to process things. One difference between being 14 and being 20 is that virginity is different, I began. Eddie nodded. Not too many people are virgins by the time they're 20. Could be you start to worry that you'll be virgin forever, that it will be permanent. Yeah, and becoming increasingly obsessed about it and feeling more and more left out while everyone around you is having sex. But the virginity thing keeps you blocked if you aren't like other boys, like me. I sat back against the cast iron porch railing and faced him. Way back in 3rd grade, I had girls who liked me, and they liked me as one of them. He nodded again. It's easier for girls and boys to be friends before sex and sexual appetite get in the way. Well, most of them were just friends, but I also had a girlfriend back then, and we were in love. We held hands and kissed and wrote love letters in class. We were two of the same, and that's how I'd like it. But the virginity thing gradually gets in the way of that. If you want to be heterosexual, sooner or later you have to go there. It's like a gate, this is sex. And it's set up so it only works, it only happens, if someone is the boy doing the boy thing. Not two of the same. Maybe it isn't sexy for girls unless the other person is doing that, pressuring, making sex happen. Or they just don't have to as long as the boys will. Either way, it's how things are set up. So it's a gate. We're the gatekeeper, keeping boys like me out. Or maybe it's just how we're taught to think it's set up. And when you're a virgin, you don't know if it's true or not. Well, if nothing happens, and you start to think the reason is that you're not doing the boy part, and then you try it, you find out that for you it is true because you just made it true. I knocked the ashes out of the pot pipe and put it back in my coat pocket. Anyway, it's always there and it gets in the way. I mean, it looms bigger and bigger. The older you get, you're the boy. You have to make things happen. And it seems so absolute when you're a virgin. You've never had sex with a girl because you've never made it happen, and you never will until you do. Maybe it doesn't seem like such a big thing after you do that. And then you can find ways of being with girls more like what you're looking for. Just get it out of the way and move on. Well, the problem there is that it's not just set up so that the boy has to take the initiative. That's bad enough, but that's not all there is to it. Well, he's getting ready to try that. He's hearing girls say, all boys are this and only care about sex. And boys are selfish. And it means the boy isn't interested in her as a person. All that stuff is already written on the wall. So it's not like he can just walk over to a girl he likes and say, I like you. Sure, what the hell, let's have sex. And that's it. She wants sex, but she wants it to be meaningful and special. Or at least she's supposed to pretend she does, or should be called names like slut and so forth. And she's been taught she has to slow the boy down and make him get to know her better first if she wants a relationship. I leaned back against the porch railing. See, he's supposed to keep trying. It's not just do this one thing that's specifically a boy thing, and then you can be equals. The whole process is like that. And it keeps out boys like me. I sighed. I want to feel special and valued before I share sex with someone too. And I want to feel like, well, wanted. Not like I'm pushing myself on someone. And I want a girlfriend. I want to be in love and have a relationship. That's just as important to me as it is to them. Eddie nodded again. Was I making sense? Did he understand what I was trying to say? Eddie stared out across the snowbanks, covering our front lawn. After a moment, he said, You're saying it's like a catch-22. You can't qualify to be in the relationship you want except by starting a relationship that is not the way you want instead, with someone who won't see you for how you are. Make that a yes. Someone on this planet thinks I make sense, so I should make sense to others as well. The next thing that fell into place for me was the women's liberation movement. Feminism. I was standing there on the front porch talking with Eddie, and it hit me. This vivid image of an intense woman at the podium, her voice snapping like a whip, talking about the unfairness of sexual expectations, that when men do it, it's assertive, taking charge, showing initiative. Oh, but when women do it, oh, now it's pushy. She's being domineering. She's a bitch. Well, fuck that shit, she says, and the audience of feminist women cheer and raise their clenched fist in a salute. Oh yeah, feminists. Sure, they had talked about how the double standard, how if it was okay for men to be sexually assertive and to be admired for their sexual activities and proficiencies, then it should be okay for women to be sexually assertive about their interests and appetites. If sexually active men were admirable, sexually active women should be similarly admired instead of demeaned as sluts, and so forth. And I realized that the very existence of such women punched holes in the notion that only males who did the man role thing could be heterosexual. Because since women apparently existed who weren't playing by those rules, I could interact with them and things could happen differently. Excited, I outlined all this to Eddie. See, this is important. This changes things. The gatekeeper can be bypassed. Eddie grinned and patted my shoulder and said this was a good thing. At first, It felt like solving an equation or a technicality, almost like a legal point or recognizing a good argument to use in a debate. But a few days later, I thought about it from a different angle. The feminist movement had provided a home for a certain type of woman, tomboyish, non-feminine females, who were more like boys in a lot of ways than they were like the other girls. Some people like to claim that all feminist women were like that, which wasn't at all true. But there were such women, and the women's liberation movement, with its attack on the unfairness of different expectations according to sex, obviously would have a direct and personal appeal to them. Some of them were lesbians, of course, but not all of them. Maybe I would find that I liked feminist women, not just because I could interact with them outside of the regular rules, but because of their, tomboyishness, butch characteristics. I might like that a lot. Meanwhile, it also meant I had natural allies of a sort. I needed to meet some feminist women. A couple nights later, I stood in my front porch feeling militantly angry, ecstatically joyous, triumphant, determined, furiously vindictive, and free. Standing on my own damn podium. Yeah, fuck this shit. So, I stand here a virgin because I don't want to be the boy and take sexual initiative. Then by God, I'll damn well die a virgin before I'll take responsibility for any more than 49% of it. I've never known any girl who wanted to feel like she was pushing sex onto someone who didn't properly appreciate it. Why the hell should I? I'm supposed to let the world paint me as only interested in sex, like I don't fall in love or get emotionally invested and vulnerable to hurt when I'm in a relationship. So it's somehow okay for girls to only want me for sex in a way that would not be okay the other way around. It's that same damn double standard. When girls are uncertain and ambivalent about their sexual feelings and appetites, people understand. It's portrayed that way in movies and songs. But males are just supposed to be enthusiastically ready, like there's no risk or reason to be hesitant. Well, fuck that shit too. Girls have to put up with being seen as sex objects. And yeah, I can see it's no good being treated like that's all you're there for. But damn it, I never get to feel desirable, cute, attractive in any kind of reciprocal way. That's part of it, too. And fuck that. There are so many ways of thinking and behaving associated with girls that people don't comprehend the same way if you're a boy. I have been yelled at for being smilingly cheerful, ridiculed and despised for not trying to play within the rules and get some protection, considered weak and cowardly for not valuing fighting and violence. Well, I'm claiming all of that back as my own. And I'll be damned if I'll be shunted, shamed, or ridiculed away from it ever again. I was out. The door was open, and I was out of the closet now. Hey, not my fault that when I come out it's different from what everyone expected. Not straight, not gay, not transsexual even. Something entirely other. It's something else. What shall I call it? I'll think of something. There had been something angry, wary, and guarded and furtive inside me that wasn't there anymore. I no longer worried that someone would tease or harass me for being too much like a girl or not right for a guy. Now I didn't care if they noticed. This is who I am, how I am. Get used to it. I will never again tolerate people being mean and nasty to me and acting like I deserve it because I don't act like a guy. From now on, being all worried about that is going to be their problem. I smiled. Before I left Los Alamos to resume classes, I dropped in on counselor Pamela Teague at the Family Counseling Center in Los Alamos, where I'd last been told to make do. I explained some of my new insights, concluding with my new ban on expressing more than my share of overt sexual interest. You can't expect to get something out that exceeds what you're willing to put in. That's not possible, she told me. I crossed my arms. Wait, you're not seriously going to try to tell me my new dating policy would violate the second law of thermodynamics or something, are you? She started to reply, but rethought it, whatever it was. I continued, tell me, would you be giving the same feedback to a girl? She sighed. Well, it's simply not how the world works. So, were you able to get in to see Pam Teague? My mom asked. I nodded as I finished off the last of my iced tea. Yeah, she fit me in. It wasn't a regular session. I just wanted to toss an idea at her and see her reaction. I won't be going back. Sometimes I think people go to counseling or therapy hoping someone will tell them there's nothing wrong with them. And then when they get tired of waiting for that, they storm out and realize that, sure enough, there was nothing wrong with them. I chuckled. Pretty much, yeah. My dad was stacking our dinner plates in the dishwasher. I know some things have been rough for you. I hope things are better now that you're in college. You've got your friend Eddie. He seems nice. He gave me a wink. More better now? More better, I agreed. I turned to leave the room, but the wink and the teasing tone lodged in my head, bothering me. I turned back around and rested my hands on the back of the dining room chair where I'd been seated. There are some nice people in college. They accept lots of people who probably didn't fit in when they were younger. I think they want to make me feel welcome, and it seems like a lot of those nice folks think I'm gay. That's more better than getting beaten up and called names, I guess. My parents glanced at each other. I tried to read what passed between, and couldn't. You always made me feel that you thought I was normal and okay, and that you loved me the way I am. Maybe you think the same thing as my college friends. I think probably you'd still love me if I was gay. I'm not. It's something else. My dad spoke first. What? Why would you wonder about such a thing? You went out with Olivia in high school, and you always liked girls. We never thought you were gay. My mom's lips were compressed thin. She blinked. I wasn't brought up that that's healthy, and I don't suppose it would be easy if you told me something like that. I love you, though, and you would always be my son. You aren't? I mean, you're saying you're not gay, right? Yeah, so many people have wondered or thought so for sure. It just suddenly occurred to me that you might have thought so too. I'm not like other boys. I wouldn't be upset if you thought that. We stood in close, awkward proximity in the edge of the kitchen for a moment. I started to say something, then stopped. My dad stepped closer, and then we were hugging, all three of us. Thanks for listening.